Lovers Wild is a fine art photography exhibition about endangered wildlife and ecosystems. It's taken me about 3 years to put this together, and it's involved about 8 expeditions to different countries around Africa and Asia. And some of you may ask, well, why do you take these beautiful models and have them drape themselves over these exotic creatures? Well, not to make things more difficult for myself, which it did, there are thousands and millions of images on the internet of wildlife. So I was just trying to take what I knew best as a celebrity and fashion photographer and magazine editor, using what I learned in the luxury lifestyle business to try and change our perceptions about what some people might call a luxury item, in this case, ivory. So I'm trying to use the skills that I learned in the luxury business to now make ivory uncool. Lovers Wild is not just about rhino horn. It's not just about elephant ivory. It's about trying to engender a new respect for the wild, for nature, especially for those people who don't really have a chance to go to these places that I've been lucky to go and see. And it's about trying to reconnect audiences in Asia with nature, and to also encourage this attitude that we have to now be the stewards and guardians of our planet, rather than the ultimate consumer. We have to learn to live and share this planet with the magnificent creatures that live on this planet. I think it's untenable that Hong Kong remains a global hub for the ivory trade and illegal wildlife crime, especially when China, Xi Jinping, has pledged to ban it, and that will most likely go through next year. So today, I'd like to call on behalf of Project Sea Change and our team on the Hong Kong government to legislate an outright ban on the ivory trade in Hong Kong.
When Sean first called me and asked me if I would contribute my time to this, he's put his heart and soul into it. And it's such an important thing. We're just having a little conversation previously before we sat down with some of the people up here, just talking about how important this is. It's not that people want to be bad in general, even Hong Kong government. It's a lack of awareness. It's a lack of education. In today's world, you have the younger generation is totally different. They're growing up with conservation, with education. They're much more educated than our parents. I think that Hong Kong, we were saying earlier, this should be bolder. Hong Kong government ban the ivory trade, because that's really what it's all about. If we ban it, if people can't buy it, it's off the market. It's gone. And so I honestly admire everything Sean and the team, Wild Aid, everyone else is doing. I think that the more awareness, the more educated we can make people, I think we'll have a much better world for the future generations, for elephants, for animals, for all species around the world that are endangered. Everyone in this room and the citizens outside, we have to do our part to make people aware. And when people become aware, I think at the end of the day, we'll be able to have a better world, and elephants will have a longer lifespan.
Wildlife trade is horrific, absolutely horrific. And I think everyone that comes after me that's speaking will be saying the same thing. No one here buys. Of course, we're not going to buy ivory tusks or ivory products, but we do have a voice, and our voice is incredibly important for saying no and asking the government to make it illegal and not have this a hub for wildlife trade.
Hello everybody, my name is Nellie Shu. I'm 13 years old and I'm a member of the Elephant Angels, a group of kids trying our hardest to help save elephants for the next generation. 2 years ago, the Elephant Angels presented the Hong Kong government with 64,000 signatures calling for the destruction of a 30-ton stockpile of confiscated ivory. Amazingly, the following day, the government announced that they would destroy the stockpile. It was a huge success. We then put pressure on major retailers like Wing On and Chinese Arts and Crafts to stop selling ivory. And guess what? They did. Now our task is even bigger. Together, we want to put a total ban on the selling of ivory in Hong Kong. The old ban from 1989, 26 years ago, is clearly not working. We can all be the change to protect and preserve endangered species. You are never too young or too old to make a difference.
It's a very bold location to put such an exhibition together, considering what is outside surrounding us, because in here, in the gallery, we've got some very inspirational images celebrating the beauty of nature and the beauty of species. There's a war going on out there in Africa. You think about anti-poaching crews that are out there day after day after day to try and stop and prevent poaching. About 1,000 of these guys that are out there have lost their lives over the last 10 years. That's 2 lives every week to try and prevent poaching of elephants and rhinos and other species in Africa as well. So it comes at a real human cost to try and prevent the slaughter, the needless slaughter of rhinos, of elephants, and of other species as well. One thing we've noticed is that sometimes people don't necessarily get the connection, as Dr. Alan Zeman was saying, between ivory and the needless slaughter of elephants. And part of the problem there is the Chinese characters for elephant ivory is elephant's tooth. Now, a tooth is the wrong way to describe a horn, an ivory horn. And we don't think it's a very good descriptor. It leads to some people thinking maybe a tooth can fall out, it's okay. It's not. Elephants die, and they have part of their heads chopped off when that ivory is extracted. It is fatal for elephants. So we're putting together a competition, and we're asking people around the city, anyone, to come up with a new character, a new Chinese character to describe elephant ivory. Competition is open to everyone, but we'll be particularly working with schools around the city, going to as many schools as possible, and getting that creativity out. And hopefully, we'll have some professors of calligraphy that will be able to judge some of the best ideas. And maybe, just maybe, we can have an ivory ban in Hong Kong and a new way of describing ivory, and hopefully that ivory will be described attached to an elephant and not separate from an elephant.
We need the Hong Kong government to ban the ivory trade. But in order to do that, we need to change the law. In order to implement a new law to ban the domestic ivory trade, there's a procedure, a process. This process needs a lot of support from everyone from Hong Kong. We need the government, every level, from the chief executive to the secretary, to the permanent secretary. Everyone in the government have to support the idea that Hong Kong have to ban the ivory trade. Open mind is not enough. We need them to put it in black and white. So we need everyone's support. We need, all the support from all of you and every citizen in Hong Kong to support the move. So when the government come up with a policy paper about, domestic ivory trade, we need all of you to tell the government you should do that. We need not only signing up, we need response letters, we need everyone to tell our government that we need to do it because we are running out of time.
Our work in Africa is focused on working with communities to ensure that they have sets of livelihoods to go forward that are linked to and related to those wildlife corridors where the elephants move through, to the ecotourism lodges that the communities can co-own with entrepreneurs. So this is incredibly important work to make sure that there's stability in Kenya and Tanzania and Zambia, Namibia, and other places where we have this acute problem of poaching. Hong Kong is really the laundry, essentially washing the illegal taint off of ivory in a way that's sort of pernicious and horrible, that infects the entire system and market. And we would normally not intervene in this space either, but we know that if you don't address supply, if you don't address demand, and if you don't address transshipment, this problem will not go away. Nellie really is right. Our generation hasn't done enough. And so this is why we've joined in this coalition today, and we are excited about the key partners that are at this table. This transshipment market is the bridge between supply and demand, and we have to delegitimize ivory here, or else all of the work, both in China and in Africa, is fruitless.
We really need to appreciate how rare our planet is. This planet is really like a jewel. I was thinking that, if we imagine that we see all these animals on a different planet, we'd really honor them. But somehow back on planet Earth, we've become really desensitized. We don't really appreciate what we have. And that's kind of like what this exhibition, all these amazing pictures and these prints that we see on the walls around us, it's all about that. It's just really treasuring what we have. We only have one planet, so it's kind of like a cliche, but we really have to look after it.
For me, I always loved elephants, and I always thought they were very cute, but I had no idea that they were like children. And they really were cuddly. They needed to be with their keepers. They put their trunks around you. You blow into their trunks like a kiss, and they just latch on. And I didn't know that some of the orphans, after they lose their mothers, when they go to the orphanage, they stop eating because they're heartbroken. And I had no idea that just by killing the mother, you would still be killing the children as well, too. So any ivory that people buy, it's an entire family that they're displaying. It's not just one elephant. They were so loving, and I wish everybody could meet them, because if they did, they would never, ever, ever touch ivory. And hopefully through the awareness, people will look at ivory and they'll be disgusted by it, they'll be ashamed by it. It will not be something cool to buy and something beautiful. It will be taboo and people will be looked down upon. So I think if we spread that message and make people be embarrassed by it, people will stop buying it as well too.
我要多谢 Sean 给我这个机会，能够让我去到印尼。因为我第一次跟大象有这么近距离的接触。以前我会觉得大象是一个比较巨大的动物，有一点害怕，因为而且听说过不少愤怒的大象的故事。 所以，大象对我来讲还是有一点保留的。当我跟大象接触过5分钟之后，我就完全没有这样的感觉，因为它们对我来讲是一个非常非常可爱、很温柔的一种动物。剩下的整个一天的拍摄过程的感觉，就是跟这张照片一样，非常的温馨。 非常的好像一对情人。这个照片里的这个大象是唯一的一只公象，它的名字叫 Teo， 所以我跟他合作的非常好。然后我觉得我们2个到最后都有一种爱恋的感觉。我以前也是曾经有过买一些象牙的制品，现在我觉得有很大的内疚。我将来。 我的一生都不会再尝试去买卖那个象牙制品。
All right, great. Thank you very much, both of you. Big round of applause for Jocelyn and Mikki. Thank you. We're now just going to finish off with, because we have our guests arriving soon, we're now going to finish off with some conservationists from Africa talking about it from their point of view. So we really have the whole picture for you today. So we're just going to watch this quick video and then we'll finish the press conference.
E is for elephant in every English-speaking alphabet, and there's a really good reason for that.
Elephants are unbelievably intelligent creatures. They've got a sense of humor, they've got a sense of mourning.
They have all the emotions of us humans. They're much gentler than us, they're more caring than us.
When you poach an elephant, it's not just about killing that elephant. Their long-term effects reverberate for decades through families.
Now, guns and boots on the ground are not going to win. We've got to get to the market. We've got to get the market values down, which will then no longer make it viable for these big cartels to get involved.
I think Hong Kong, being on the doorstep of China, has a major role to play in the future of elephants.
If they can understand exactly the impact that that market which they're providing is having on the elephant today, then I think that's the biggest thing they could do.
If I had a magic wand, I would like to make ivory so untrendy that no one buys it.
The thing that's on their mantelpiece represents a chain of destruction and pain and suffering.
Nobody needs ivory trinkets, and to kill a majestic animal like an elephant that ought to live 60, 70 years for a tooth is absolutely criminal.
Some words there from people on the ground in Africa fighting the battle going on right now and doing some great work. Some of the key conservationists in Kenya. So I've been very honored to have met them on my journey. Right, that pretty much wraps up the press conference. Thank you for your patience. I know we had a lot to get through.